All right. Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Jennifer Crystal Johnson, aka Jen. And this video is kind of a beginning of a video series about how to liberate yourself from toxic relationships, especially as an empath or highly sensitive person. Liberating yourself, which is the only way that you can actually get completely away, okay? Liberating yourself involves first and foremost loving yourself and truly loving yourself and recognizing your own worth. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. But first, in this video, this is 7 signs of a toxic relationship. And this doesn't have to be a romantic relationship, okay? This could be a friendship. This could be a relationship between you and your and a family member. It could be any relationship, okay? It could just be an acquaintance. It doesn't really matter what the relationship is, but if this person, now, of course, it's most common in romantic relationships, but if these kinds of signs apply to someone else that you're dealing with on a regular basis, then you may need to consider backing away from that person, at least temporarily, or limiting your interaction with this person. A lot of times this may cause some serious upheaval, but I'll do a separate video on that as well. And for the time being, let's just cover the 7 signs, 7 very common and most obvious signs of a toxic relationship. Anybody can be an abuser. Anybody can be a toxic person. It doesn't matter if you're a man, woman, what nationality, what religious beliefs you have. It doesn't matter at all. It could be anybody, and anybody can be a victim. Okay? Men and women alike. Anybody. This could happen to anyone. I've seen it happen on both sides. I've also seen false accusations and the damage that those can do. False accusations being one of the go-to methods of manipulating the system for women, by the way, especially female abusers, because it is a legitimate concern, right? And it's a perfect excuse to fight. It's a perfect excuse to fight and to manipulate the system into believing you because, oh, poor me. Oh my God. You know, you throw some tears in there and you see the problem. Unfortunately, judges and commissioners do not have any requirements to study psychology, and they are not required to recognize these manipulation tactics, which means that 70% of accusations during a custody battle that come from women are false. That is a ridiculous statistic, and a big part of the reason why I'm doing this video series, and a big part of the reason why I'm sharing some of my experiences, because somebody has to do something, and if not me, then who? And if not now, then when? Right? So here I am. So, 7 signs of a toxic relationship. Let's get going, shall we? Oh, and don't let my stories scare you or make you uncomfortable, because I experienced them. They made me a better person, and they increased my life experience, and they increased my knowledge. So, if it makes you uncomfortable, I guess I should put some kind of a trigger warning in here. I don't know, but these are signs. These are signs of emotional abuse, and I'm just going to start going through them one by one and sharing some examples from my own past. I will not mention names. These are things that have happened to me, so I have just as much right to share them as anybody else. And if you have a problem with it, then you shouldn't have pissed off a writer. Simple as that. The first sign of a toxic relationship: excessive or inappropriate jealousy. Okay, so excessive, unreasonable, inappropriate jealousy. So let's talk about excessive and unreasonable jealousy first. If you're with someone, so what happened to me as a good example, and this has happened, almost the exact same scenario has happened to me many different times. where I was with someone, I was dating someone, and we'd go to a store or a gas station or whatever. And my partner would like stay in the car or whatever, or just kind of be watching from afar or what have you. And I would be talking to the person at the register. It doesn't even matter who it is or what's happening, okay? And come back and immediately get accused of flirting inappropriately, even though you weren't doing anything, right? What the hell? And immediately feel like if you talk to anybody, you're going to get into trouble. Right? So, why the fuck are you talking to that guy? Are you sleeping with him? Now, if you point out the flaw in their accusation, like, for example, that cash register dude was like 85. What the fuck are you talking about? And the person then turns to, usually the go-to is, oh, I was just kidding. I was just seeing how you would react. But then the seed is planted. And you feel uncomfortable because you know it wasn't actually a joke. That was just a really, really pitiful attempt at saving face. Well, you might be dealing with a toxic person. Manipulative, Inappropriate jealousy. This is another one that I have some experience with. So, when I was with my ex-husband, I was, at the time I was about 19. I was pregnant with my second daughter. And I say my because he literally just acted as sperm donor and douchebag. So I really don't feel like I should give him any credit whatsoever. But I was pregnant and I had a child already who was a toddler and running around, and I was working on my first novella. And I had always heard that, well, you get a ton of rejection letters. So I found a publisher right away, which was completely stupid. And that's a whole other story. That's a whole other fiasco. But instead of being happy for me when I published this book, he was jealous. He was upset. He was actually crying. Okay. Like real tears. About how my words were now immortalized. And what has he accomplished? That was his concern. It wasn't, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Congratulations. Good job. It was, why the fuck do you get to be immortalized? I did the fucking work, you dipshit. That's why, So if your partner is jealous of you and your work rather than being supportive, chances are it's a toxic relationship. So that was number one. The second sign of a toxic relationship is if this person is abusive toward animals or children. I'm not talking about regular, normal discipline, okay? Every once in a while, you do need to discipline your animals. You do need to train your animals. It does not have to be abusive. It can just be slightly, startling things for the animals to learn, okay? You don't have to beat the shit out of your dog to teach him. Very simple. Now, again, when I was married, we were married for about 3 months. And had just moved into an apartment where our dog was not even allowed because he was a pit bull puppy, purebred, no papers though, but he was so sweet. Oh my gosh, I miss Aries so much. He's so sweet. But he was this sweet little puppy, okay? And when we were staying in this apartment, through no fault of his own, he had nowhere to go potty. So, because my ex-husband treated him and me like shit, he decided, well, I'm just going to shit on your military stuff then. Didn't sit very well. My ex-husband proceeded to kick the dog across the room So he hit the wall and beat him in the face with a steel-toed army boot, making him lose 2 of his baby teeth. They were only baby teeth. There was like a pocket of fluid on his forehead. He wasn't permanently damaged or injured, but it scared the shit out of me. I was pregnant with this motherfucker's child. So I was upset. I was very upset. He left, pissed, right? Came back. And by the time he came back, I was less upset and more pissed off myself. And I asked him, I was like, if you're willing to treat this little animal, helpless, defenseless, needs our love and guidance, you're willing to treat this little helpless, defenseless animal like that, what says you're not going to do the same to me and our child? His reaction was to call me crazy and to leave again. So if that's the kind of behavior that someone is exhibiting toward you, chances are that you're dealing with a toxic relationship. The third sign that you're dealing with a toxic person or toxic relationship is that their behavior is extremely possessive and controlling. And chances are you will feel this before you fully intellectually realize it. Something that my ex-husband used to do to me all the time is if I went to the grocery store, even if I had both the kids with me, okay, mind you, both the babies, which my girls are only 2 years apart, so I dragged them along with me everywhere. But I would come back from the grocery store to accusations of fucking around on him. Not only is that controlling and possessive behavior, but it's also projecting. Now, how many people do you think that he slept with for me to be accused of cheating when going to the grocery store with 2 little babies in tow? I don't know. Don't really care. Not my monkeys, not my circus. But if someone is treating you that way, chances are you're in a toxic relationship. The fourth sign kind of goes right hand in hand with this, manipulation. And this is especially true for female abusers, right? There are some male abusers who will not actually hit or physically do anything to you, right? They are the feminine version of male abusers because women abusers use manipulation, gaslighting, and projecting like we just talked about in order to get you to do what they want. Now, what is gaslighting? This is the easiest definition. I don't really have an example for this. Not right offhand. I would have to go back and think. But gaslighting is basically where they plant so many seeds of doubt that you doubt yourself and you kind of start feeling like you're going crazy. Like, this doesn't feel right. Something is wrong. You can't put your finger on it, but it feels messed up. It feels horrible. Okay? They make you feel like you're going crazy. Literally. They will make you feel like you're going crazy when they're the ones manipulating you into going crazy, and they're really the crazy ones that need the fucking help. So, manipulation tactics too. There's lots of guilt trips. There's lots of, well, you owe me because blah, blah, blah. For male abusers, financial control is very, very common. And not financial control to protect the budget, okay? Because I've seen a lot of abusive bitches, pardon my French, use this as a method of accusing someone of abuse, right? This is a very, 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 very typical kind of manipulation tactic on the side of females, okay? Where they overspend and overspend and overspend and fucking burn through all your money. And if you try to take control of the finances, you're the abusive one, because that happens to be a red flag for abuse, blah, blah, blah. Now, never mind that they deserve it. Never mind that this is for the benefit of the whole family, that this poor man is just trying to do what's best for everyone because crazy lady is out of control spending. However, it's enough to raise doubt. And it's enough to raise doubt in a courtroom. So for those of you dealing with this kind of crap, you might be in a toxic relationship. And I'm really, really sorry because that shit sucks. The fifth sign. Oh man, this one's crazy too. Oh my gosh. Okay. And I've seen this happen both sides, both ways. I'm going to go ahead and take a drink of my coffee for a minute. I love my new coffee mug. It reminds me to remember that everyone is human. We're all connected. Anyway. The fifth sign, you might be dealing with a toxic relationship, or you might be in a toxic relationship with a toxic person, is that, and this is a very, very typical one for female abusers also. And the reason why I'm bringing up female versus male abusers is because there are a couple of differences. One key difference being that with female abusers, there is no honeymoon phase. So guys, men, if you are in an abusive relationship with a female abuser, there is no cycle. You're just getting shit on constantly. There's no honeymoon phase. There's no makeup sex. These women are just bitches. That's it. They have no interest in anything except for getting their way. And as long as it works for them, they're going to continue doing it. So it's up to us, all right, us who are survivors and who recognize this shit, to say something, to speak up. Otherwise, these people continue getting away with this crap, and it's not fucking okay. So, the fifth sign that you might be in a toxic relationship is that your partner uses sex and affection, withholding sex and affection, to manipulate you into doing something that they want you to. So this might look like, well, I'm not going to sleep with you until or unless you go and buy me this $1,000 fucking thing over there that I've convinced myself that I need, even though it's a stupid physical thing that nobody actually needs. The worst part of this is that these people will also use the children as manipulation tool, as bargaining chips, and sometimes even as pawns. They will manipulate the children to get at you. They will pit the children against each. I mean, the children will, they'll have the children pit the parents against each other or pit other family members against each other just to kind of be entertained. It's messed up. It's a messed up scenario. So withholding sex, withholding affection, withholding children, and basically treating the children like their property, which they're not. They are their own people. They are free. Freedom is a basic human right. Should be. Okay? Freedom also happens in the mind. So, I'll talk more about that in the Liberating Yourself from a Toxic Relationship video. But using these kinds of things that really should not be used as tools like that. You might be dealing with a toxic person. It's painful. It's extremely painful. It's very painful. I've seen it happen multiple times. It's extremely painful to watch, and it's even more painful to experience. So get out. Get out if you can. These people don't change. Narcissists, manipulators, sociopaths with no empathy, no capability for feeling anything for anybody else, no capability of sympathizing ever. they don't change because it works for them. They get whatever they want, you know? They use these tactics and they get whatever they want. So, yeah. The sixth sign that you might be in a toxic relationship or dealing with a toxic person or emotionally abusive person is that they threaten violence or they threaten to take your children away, period. As in, it's either my way or the highway. Everything is black and white, and anything else is wrong. It's not how life works, guys. Not everything is black and white. Not everything is black and white. There's a lot of gray area there. And unfortunately, when you're not willing to work with each other, when your partner threatens to take the children away rather than working out an agreement for the best interest of the children, which that's what it's all about. Hello. You're trying to take care of your children, not get back at each other and be focused on revenge tactics and fucked up other shit. Okay? When these people make these threats, they make them often enough and in enough arguments to be feasible threats, to make you doubt what this person is capable of, to make you wonder what this person is actually capable of. My ex-husband used to threaten to kill me all the time. I spent 2 years after leaving him having panic attacks, completely looking over my shoulder, not sleeping, and nothing ever happened. Nothing ever happened. Now, this is not always the case, okay? I got lucky. And me speaking out like this, well, I don't know what's going to happen. So just FYI, if I wind up dying under suspicious circumstances, chances are my ex-husband watched this shit and decided that he was pissed and that he's going to come hunt me down. So you guys already have a suspect if anything happens. Now, and yes, I am blunt about it. And yes, I am an open book about it. And no, I'm not going to stop talking. I will not be threatened. So the seventh sign that you might be dealing with a toxic person or an emotional abuser, or that you might be in a toxic relationship. And this is the final one that I'm going to cover. Obviously, this video is very long already, but I definitely wanted to get all of this out and all of my little side points too. No matter what you do, they find something to blame you for. Okay. So this means 1, you can't do anything right. And 2, they blame you for their own feelings, for their own actions based on those feelings, and for the outcomes. And then they expect you to fix the whole thing and fix them while you're at it. That's a Herculean task right there, especially when these people don't fucking want help. They don't want help. They don't want help. They don't want to fix anything at all. They don't want to fix themselves. They're perfectly happy wallowing in their own misery. And they're perfectly happy manipulating you and blaming you for shit that you didn't even do. Sometimes you weren't even there for. Good example. When I was with my ex-husband, we were visiting his dad in Oklahoma. This was like, oh gosh, like 13, 14 years ago. I don't know, whatever. Probably about 13 years. Yeah, maybe 14 years. I don't know, but somewhere around there. Which, by the way, fucking hate Oklahoma. I'm sorry for anybody who's from there, but there have been a couple of really psychotic fucktards that I've met from Oklahoma. So, yeah, no thanks. But anyway, probably the only state that I'm not going to want to visit ever. We got in an argument and I decided to go for a walk to cool off, right? I go for a walk around town, small town, it's whatever. It starts kind of drizzling. I'm like, okay, I better get back, right? I'm calmed down. I got some fresh air. I'm totally good, right? I'm good. I'm like, okay, maybe we can come back and revisit this topic. I can't even remember what the argument was about. Revisit this topic on a more reasonable level, right? While I was gone, this idiot decided to carve with a pocket knife the word pain, P-A-I-N, into his left forearm in 2-inch tall letters. So I came back and I opened the door, and the first thing that assaulted me was him showing me his arm and saying, "Look what you made me do." I wasn't even there. I did not hold a gun to your head. You're a manipulative fuck. Thank you very much. Now, if someone is using this kind of shit to manipulate you, which, okay, another good story, all right? Now, this is the kind of person that I run far and fast from, all right? Military guys are all kinds of fucked up. No offense, dudes, but you guys seriously are in dire need of some inner fucking work. Start meditating. Don't be an abusive dick. Just because you've seen war doesn't mean that you have an excuse. I've seen war in my own home. So, fix yourself. Don't put it on some poor girl to fix you because you're incapable. And she's caring. Okay? Now, I met this guy at a bar, singing karaoke, right? Seems cool. Did his service. Clearly is a little fucked up and has PTSD, but I'm like, you know what? We're going to hang out with this dude. We're going to talk. He's obviously lonely. He needs somebody to connect with. You know what I mean? So me and my friend, after the bar, we all go, the three of us went to Denny's, and he bought us dinner, you know, which was really nice. And then he started kind of getting irritated about the flag not being up outside of Denny's. So I was a regular at Denny's, and I talked to the wait staff, and I was like, hey, is there any chance that we can get that flag up out there? You know, because my friend, he's having kind of a rough night, and let's see what happens, you know. And sure enough, they put the flag up just for me, just for him, you know, thanked him for his service. And it was all in all a pretty good night, right? He's kind of weird, but it was a good night. Interesting, you know. So it's time to go home, and I end up driving him back to the barracks. And I drop him off, making it very clear nothing's going to happen. Okay, we're just hanging out here. And next thing I know, I'm getting text message after text message telling me that he's going to kill himself if I don't come back and cuddle with him. That's not my problem. And I will not be manipulated. It's not that I don't have any sympathy for people who are suicidal. I have had a dark night of the soul myself. Several. It is not fun, and it is not to be laughed at. But that is controlling manipulation tactics. That is not actual depression. Okay? And that's not love. So, if any of these experiences resonate with you, and you find yourself in a relationship with a person who does these things on a very regular basis, okay? Usually you can start to notice a cycle. Unfortunately, if you're dealing with a female abuser, the honeymoon phase is, from what I've read, non-existent. And from what I've experienced, it's also non-existent. So, and this is, I was harassed last year for about, well, starting last year for about 6 months, because I was dating someone, living with him, or he was living with me, whatever way you want to put it. And his ex did everything in her power to withhold the child, using excuses like, oh, well, the house is too messy, or I need you to hire someone to inspect the house, or I need you to go and spend $300 on a new car seat, or, you know, you didn't do this the way that I wanted to, so you're not going to get to see your son today, or I'm not charging you child support, so you're not going to get to see your son today. This is a woman who showed up screaming and stomping, and this is a large woman, okay? A large woman, taller than me, and about 3 times my size right now. Stomping and screaming throughout my neighborhood, I want my fucking son, give me my fucking son, you fucking kidnapper, blah, blah, blah. And it just went on and on. And this is the kind of drama that I was dealing with every single fucking day. Constant bombardment of messages, constant fighting, constantly having to put out fires. And then finally, she decided to accuse one of my children, called CPS and everything. We had a whole criminal investigation. Unfounded, of course, but that was the method that finally stuck. Accusing one of my children of something that they did not do. Now, if you're dealing with a person like this, they will never change. There is no telling what these kinds of people are capable of. There is no telling how far their own insecurity and desperation and fear will push them. There is zero way of knowing whether they will be pushed far enough to kill someone, or to practice Munchausen by proxy, for example, or to stalk someone, for example. In her case, it was rumors and lies. She was starting to spread lies all over the place that I had herpes and all sorts of other crazy stuff, you know, just lying to people to get them to turn on you. Now, when she was lying about her ex, who was my boyfriend, I went straight to him, you know. Before we even dated, I went straight to him. I was like, so, your ex is going around telling everybody that you shooed her out of your store with a broom. Kind of weird. The real story was she had been there for about 2 to 3 hours trying to instigate a fucking argument in his workplace. She wouldn't listen. She wouldn't leave. So, things like this, it's very important to educate yourself. It's very important to get a feel for the signs, for the red flags. And it's very important to stick up for yourself, to know your own worth, okay? Know that you do not deserve to be treated this way. Know that just because you take responsibility for your own shit doesn't mean, especially on an emotional basis, okay, does not mean that you should be made into a scapegoat. If you find yourself in a toxic relationship, you're going to have PTSD from it. You're going to be damaged. But you can heal. And yes, you can love yourself. And yes, you can find actual love. And yes, you can heal yourself. And you can use your knowledge to help other people in the same circumstances. I analyze everything. I overanalyze sometimes. I've had a lot of life experiences with fucked up people. And I have not lost my faith. I have not lost my belief in love. And I firmly, firmly believe that the more of us with these kinds of life experiences, the more of us who speak out and stand up for ourselves and stand up for what's right, because what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong, okay? I bend over backwards for people. I work with people. I try to do whatever I can to help whomever I can, okay? Do not mistake my kindness for weakness. I do stand up for myself, and I do speak out now more than ever, because if not me, who's gonna? And if not now, then when? I take this very seriously, but I also want you to be encouraged, because it's not your job to fix anybody. As a highly sensitive person or an empath, you probably feel like that it is your job. No, it's not your job to fix anybody, okay? You can share your experiences. You can help people by allowing them to talk to you. You can help people by being encouraging, by being loving, okay? But it's not your job to fix anybody. And if somebody is relying on you to fix them, that's a codependent clusterfuck that you just don't want to even get into, okay? That being said, if you're in a toxic relationship and you feel like if you're in a toxic relationship and you feel like it's coming up on time to get out, I highly recommend keeping an eye out for opportunities and follow your gut, because the whole idea that these people have, these toxic, abusive people, and this could be subconscious, they might not even know about it, okay? They might not even realize what they're doing. Or they do realize it and they deny it because you can't prove this kind of stuff. It's all hearsay. You know what I mean? How do you prove manipulative liar? You can't. At least not in front of a judge, because their go-to fucking explanation is, I can't speak to this, I'm not a psychologist. So they would much rather have facts. And the thing is that this kind of emotional abuse is more damaging than any kind of other abuse. It leaves permanent emotional scars. You can heal, but chances are that if you were abused as a child, that you won't be able to fully heal until you're an adult and have had other experiences where you've had to heal. So it really becomes a tricky thing, and you probably won't be able to do it on your own. But if you are in a toxic relationship and you make up your mind to put yourself first, know your worth, know your value as a human being. We are all created equal. There is no one better than anyone else, okay? We are all created equal. We are all created with equal potential and equal gifts and equal opportunities, even though those who are unwilling to put in the work will often fight. They will fight you tooth and nail and present you with a problem for every solution, until they realize that the power all lies with them and they've been giving it away this whole time. But now I'm going off on like other tangents. I really want to end this video on a note of, don't lose hope, okay? It is a nightmare when this kind of thing is happening. But if you manage to get away, and that should be the goal, getting away has to be the main goal, okay? If you manage to get away, you can heal. You can heal yourself. You can find love. And yes, you can be happy. It's just a matter of doing the inner work that will rock your outer world, as author Drayton Boylston says. I'm going to take a sip of coffee real quick. If you are ready to liberate yourself, I'm going to be coming up with another video about how to get out of a toxic relationship. And the reason why getting away from these people is your best bet is because these people don't change. And they won't. They won't change for you. They won't change for their children. They won't change for fucking anybody because they don't think they're doing anything wrong. And even if they do, they will refuse to admit it. They will vehemently deny because their ego is driving them. Their fear is driving them. They are more afraid of the consequences of admitting fault or of admitting wrong or of apologizing. They're more afraid of how their ego will feel after that than they are loving towards the people that are they're fucking over. They're more concerned with their own ego than worried about the damage that they're doing to everyone around them, which I find very, very extremely sad. Almost pathetic. But that's a whole other video. And I'm going to end this with stay tuned for the next one where I talk about how to liberate yourself. Part of freedom is inner work, a huge part. Freedom often happens in the mind, okay? As the quote says from the movie SLC Punk, freedom happens in the mind. Once you realize this, liberating yourself becomes a little easier because you stop giving a shit what anybody else thinks. Even if they're family. Even if they're people that you've known for years. Liberate yourself. That's what we'll cover next. All right, in the meantime, I hope you're having a fantastic day. I hope this video has helped you in some way. If you have your own stories, and you want to share or you want to convey your experiences or your thoughts or you have any questions, the comments are very much open. Be warned, there's probably going to be a bunch of shit talk on these comments too by people who are narcissists or toxic or abusive. And just so you know, if you happen to be one of the people that I'm talking about in this video and you leave a comment and call yourself out and draw attention to yourself, then you're a fucking moron. Because I can't be sued for that. That is you slandering yourself. So don't even think about it. Okay? Yeah. I'm not putting up with any shit. Thanks.